how are we going to present data on a histogram? Let's see what we can do. So for this example, we have 205 people that take part in a survey, and this is how much time they spend traveling by train per week. Draw a histogram to represent this data. The first thing we need is the frequency density. The frequency density is simply going to be equal to the number divided by the range. Okay? So for this example, right, our range is simply going to be 5 minus 0, which is 5. So this is just going to be 35 divided by 5 minus 0. And so we get a frequency density of 7. Now, we know that this bar goes from 0 to 5, and it has a frequency density of 7. So this is what this first class will look like, okay? The next bar will be 20 divided by 10 minus 5, which is simply going to be equal to 4. So the frequency density here is 4. If the frequency density is 4 and the range is 5, this is what our histogram is going to look like. Let's move on to the next example. For this one, we have a number of people 20. So the frequency density is just going to be 20 divided by 20 minus 10. Okay, because those are the numbers in the range. And so it equals to 2. So for this one, our range is going to be, our frequency density is 2. And so therefore, this is what our bar will look like. Because it goes from 10 to 20, and it's got a frequency density of 2. Let's look at this next example. For this one, we have a range of 35 and 20. So, therefore, the histogram will, frequency density is going to be 30 divided by 35 minus 20. 35 minus 20 is 15, and so therefore it's 2. So we can say that this goes like this, where this is 35, and this is 2. And finally, we have a histogram with 100, okay? So the frequency density is going to be 100 divided by 60 minus 35. 60 minus 35 is 25. So our frequency density is 4. Therefore, the frequency density is going to start here. And it's going to go all the way over here to 60. And that is what the histogram should look like. Is this video helpful? Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a useful video like this one. Now let's go over this next example. This time we have to read the histogram. The question is asking, how long is your garden? This is the graph that represents that data. So work out the frequency and then determine the mean. The frequency is actually pretty easy. The frequency, right, is just the area of the bar, okay? Which is just the range times the frequency density. So let's look at this example. Here we can see that one of these represents 2, because if 5 represents 10, 1 represents 2. For this first example, we can see that this goes by 5 because it's got 0 to 5. And so the frequency is going to be 4 times 5, which is 20. Okay? Let's look at this next example. For this next example, it goes up to 10. And we know that this is 5. 5 times 10 is 50. Next example. We know that this is going to be 12. I picked the wrong color. It's okay. And then this is going to be from 10 to 20. So therefore, this is 10. Okay. 10 times 12 is 120. Now let's go over this next example. This next example, it goes halfway. So we can safely say that that's 3. And it goes 1, 2, 3 across. So therefore, that represents 15. And if you're ever unsure, just look at the ranges. 35 minus 20, that's just going to be 15. 15 times 3 is 45. And finally, we have this bar here. We can say that only 1 is the frequency density, but it represents a range of 15 people. 15 times 1 is 15. Now, let's get the totals. Our total will simply be 20 plus 50 plus 120 plus 45 plus 15, which gives us 250 total people surveyed. Now, how are we going to work out the mean of the garden? Well, if you remember from my grouped data video, you know that we have to add 2 columns. We have to add 1 for the midpoint, right? And we need to add 1 for f times x, which is frequency times the midpoint. The midpoint of 0 to 5, that's just 2.5. The midpoint between 5 and 10 is just 7.5. Between 10 and 20, that's just 15. 20 and 35 is 27.5. And 35 to 50, that is just 42.5. Okay? So now what we need to do is we need to times the frequency by the midpoint, because we're assuming that 20 people have a length of 2.5. That's just the estimate that we're going with. 20 times 2.5, well, that's just equal to 50. 50 times 7.5 is equal to 375. 120 times 15 is equal to 1800. 45 times 27.5, that's just equal to 1237.5. And finally, 15 times 47.5, right? That's just equal to 712.5. Now let's add up all of what we've worked out so far. So 50 plus 375 plus 1800 plus 1237.5 plus 712.5, that's just going to be 4,175. The mean is just the total divided by how many numbers there are. So mean is equal to 4175 divided by 250, which is equal to 16.7. And that is our final answer. Are you stuck with anything that I've explained in this video? Join my Discord server and ask any questions you want with fast responses guaranteed. Now let's go over this example. For this one, we have a histogram, but this time we need to work out the estimate for the median and the upper quartile. There are two ways of doing each. The first thing for each of them is we need to work out the cumulative frequencies. To do that, we need to know what each bar represents. We know that this is 14, and this is 2. 14 times 2 is 28. For this one, we have 50, and we have 2. 50 times 2 is 100. For this next one, we have 90, and this is 2. 90 times 2, 180. 50 times 4 is going to be 200. And finally, this last one, we can see that this has a frequency density of 24, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 across. 24 times 8 is equal to 192. Okay, no big deal. Now we need to work out the cumulative frequencies. I'm going to put them at the top here. So we have 28. 28 plus 100, 128. 100 plus 180 is 308. 308 plus 200 is 508. And then 508 plus 192 is 700. Cool. To work out the median, first we need to work out the middle number. The middle number is just going to be 700 divided by 2, which is equal to 350. So now, where would the 350th number be located? Will it be in this bar? No, because 28 is a smaller number than 350. Will it be in this bar? No, because 128 is a smaller number than 350. Will it be in this bar? No, because 308 is a smaller number than 350. Will it be in this number? Yes, it will. It's going to be in this bar. The question is by how much? Now, the way that I do it is, first things first, is I need to work out the difference between 350 and 308. So 350 minus 308 is equal to 42. So now I know that the frequency of this bar at which the median is presented is going to be 42. I know that it's going to be 50 high because it's in this bar, okay? So therefore, the median is going to be, what are we at? We're at 14. So it's going to be 14 plus 42 divided by 50, which is just going to be 14.84. So all we're doing is we're manipulating this so that we can tell, okay, this is 0.84 because 0.84 times 50 is 42. If you didn't understand that, that's okay. There is another way that we can do it. And we'll do it for the upper quartile. First things first is, where is the upper quartile located? The upper quartile is just going to be 700 over 4 times 3, which is simply equal to 525, which is going to be in this bar, okay? What we can do is we're going to have to work it out as a percentage, and then we're going to add them up. I'm going to do this up here, this one. So first things first is work out the difference so we know how much is going to be in that bar. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do 525 minus 508, which is equal to 17, right? And so we know that this bar has 17. How much of a percentage is that to 192? What we're going to do is we're going to do 17 divided by 192 times 8. Okay? So this is this as a percentage, right? And then we're going to times it by 8 because the class width is 8. Okay? If we plug that into our calculators, we should get an answer of 0.71. And so therefore, the median, upper quartile is just going to be 18 plus 0.71, which is equal to 18.71. Just to prove that it works, let's do it my way. What we can do is we do UQ is equal to 18 plus, we know it has to be 24, 17 divided by 24, which is equal to 18.71. So either way, you can do it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Do you guys want to pass your exams? Well, you can get tutored by me. Drop me an email and we can organize a meeting and a quote. Keep on learning as you have no idea what you're capable of doing.